Welcome back to the channel. I'm excited about today's video because I've had an opportunity now to get out a few times with the XP HF2 coil. By no means am I an expert. I'm still learning this coil, but I've also had an opportunity to watch several hours of other influencers, other testers' videos, and we're actually going to do some of our own testing here today. But first, a word of caution. You know, maybe you've been on the fence thinking about this coil. If so, what I want to share is a couple of things. First of all, this is not an everyday coil. In fact, XP sells it as an accessory. But if you really want to get the optimum performance out of this particular coil, I think you really want to spend some time and understand that it's meant for use in certain specialized conditions. There's at least 4 scenarios I can think of where absolutely this coil makes better sense as a choice versus perhaps your 9-inch, your 11-inch, or even the 11 by 13-inch elliptical coil. So let's take a look at those 4 scenarios. The first one I think is kind of obvious. The shape of this coil is clearly elliptical, and it will help us squeeze into those really tight areas. This is perfect for corn stubble, those tight areas where you just might not be able to put your coil over the target. The second scenario I'm going to kind of label as salty. If you have highly mineralized land, pasture field that's been heavily fertilized, occupied, the soil might have a lot of mineralization, or indeed you're on a beach where the sand is heavily mineralized, the higher frequencies of this coil will help better identify the target. Now this third scenario I'm labeling as separation. Those areas where there is a heavy concentration of trash, maybe an iron patch where items just might be sitting next to another ferrous item, the higher frequency coils do a superior job of unmasking those targets. We're going to test that today. And what's the last S, the fourth S? Small, S for small. Higher frequency coils do a better job of identifying those very, very small items. Do we have a few of those today? You bet. They're so small, I don't know if this coil is going to find them. And if those 4 aren't enough, I guess unofficially I'm going to add a 5th, and you know what that one is? Sharp. S for sharp. It's just cool looking, isn't it, the white coil? But we'll stick with those first 4. But today, for this video, we're going to test number 3 and number 4. We're going to test how well the HF2 coil does in separating and in identifying small targets. So, are you ready? Let's go. Okay, we're going to start with the 9-inch FMF coil. We're using the beta version of the software 3.03. I do not ground balance on my soil here. You may want to do that on your tests. I am, however, going to noise cancel. And the version of software that I'm primarily going to be using for this test right here today is sensitive full tones. You will see I'm going to jump over to Deus Mono. And I think we're ready to go. Let me walk you through the settings here. I'm using default settings. Discrimination 6.8. Silencer of 3, sensitivity is at 90. Frequency max on the FMF coil, reminder, is 40 kilohertz. Iron volume set to 7. Reactivity of 3. Audio response 4. Back to discrimination 6.8. So that's it. Let's go ahead and test each of these targets, first of all, on the 9-inch coil. Now, this is my first target right here. I'm going to put a picture up of each of the targets. This is the tough way. These are tough tests. I found this coin, this gold coin in Colchester, England. That is a big, big iron nail. We're getting a little bit, but that nail is indeed... That nail was indeed masking that coin. All right, this is a Seated Liberty US dime, silver dime. Nothing. try it from the side. It's trying. I would investigate that. This way. Okay, this is a Henry short cross hammered silver coin. Small. I'm swinging about an inch or two above these nails. Not sure I would dig that either. Now, this is a 14 karat gold ring. It's a smaller ring, slightly smaller nail. But this way. Getting something right there on that angle. This is a 14 karat gold tie pin, and the nail you can see is slightly larger. These nails are ringing up at 3. I tested them by themselves. That's indeed what they were ringing up as, 3 or 4. It's not hitting that either way. Okay, this, very hard to see, but it is a small 14 karat, I believe, earring. I'm just trying to reflect. This is either 14 or 24 karat gold earring. Now, by the way, these next series of targets, there is no nail. I'm really checking these for that 4th key scenario, small. Small gold items are tough. So close. You know, I could increase my sensitivity. There's a lot of variables, a lot of things we could test, but the stock settings, really not picking that up. Next item, as you all know, very difficult for any detector to discover. This is a gold chain, and let's give the 9-inch a shot here, see what she does. No. Okay, next target is a vial of gold flakes. It's not really hitting on that. And this last item, don't think it's going to hit it either. I took one of the gold flakes out of the vial. It's there by itself. Nothing. Nothing. Well, I don't know, folks. What did you think? The 9-inch coil struggled on most of those tests. Now, in fairness, those are difficult tests, but why don't we go ahead and test the HF2. We're going to test it both in multi-frequency mode so that we can see how that performs, but also we're going to flip over to Deus Mono because, as you know, the HF2 coil has an even higher frequency range when using that program. And that's going to be really interesting, especially in that 4th scenario where we're trying to maybe go over an area we've hunted previously. We're on the beach perhaps, and we're just trying to see if we can sniff out any small items. But I'm going to go ahead and switch my coils. I'm going to go ahead and noise cancel, and let's do the test with this coil. All right, now let's try this with the HF2 coil here. I've gone ahead and noise canceled. These are the same settings, but let me walk you through them nevertheless. We're on sensitive full tones, 6.8 discrimination, silence is 3, sensitivity 90, frequency max you can see is at 89. We'll go through the rest of these quickly just so you can see, but the same that I had set up in here previously. Let's go ahead and get started. So first, this James I 1604. That big nail is just not letting us find it that way. We're getting something with the audio. The target ID is higher. Boy, that nail is really doing its job, though, unfortunately. Seated Liberty dime. Again, this is frequency max of 89, I believe. We're hearing something right there. This is the hammered Henry III short cross penny. Wow, still a tough one to hit. We're hitting it this way though. Gold ring. Okay, this is the gold earring, very small item here. That's hitting it right there. Wow, there you go. Okay, gold chain, will it hit that? Yeah, doing a much better job. For sure. Okay, now we're up to the vial here of gold flakes. Let's try it this way. Neither coil was hitting on that. Nope. So if we're not going to hit that, I doubt we're going to find this here, but let's try it. I'm trying to get as close as possible. I even hit it. Nothing. Nothing. Okay, I'm going to switch over here. We're going to go back to the beginning here. And all that we're going to do, I'm going to do this live, is we're going to switch over to the Deus Mono program. There we go. Deus Mono. I have to turn my big numbers on. Okay, now, if you recall, in the Mono program, the settings for the coil can be slightly different. So they are a little different in Deus Mono. You saw that the reactivity, I believe, was 2. Sensitivity is 990. But take a look at this. The frequency max, the range here, we're going to go all the way up to the top of that range. Okay? The rest of the settings we'll cursor through quickly here. Reactivity 2.5. What was I seeing? It must have been silencer. It was 2. Okay. Right. So everybody, of course, is interested in the high frequencies. And as we've already seen, those do a great job on the smaller items, okay? At the higher frequency, we did have a little bit better luck, a few targets on the unmasking. But remember, we also now can switch over to mono and take advantage of an even higher range of frequencies. Let's see what we find with those. I'm going to fix this one target first. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Mr. Big Nail. Wow, he is the king of the iron nails. He's still masking that. Seated Liberty dime. Very clippy, but getting a little bit of that dime. Hammered Henry III. Definitely finding it that way. How about that gold ring? Yeah, big time. Yep. This one has been challenging, this tie clip. That is revealing the target right there for sure, both in terms of the audio and the target ID. How about this small 24 karat earring? Look at that. Can't go by the target ID, but boy, the audio, this way the audio is showing it in the 30s. That low conductive gold, it's definitely finding that. Here, can't go by the target ID, but listen to that audio. Yeah, baby. I'm gonna dig that. How about our elusive gold chain here? Target ID mid-20s. Good audio. Our vial of gold flakes, that has been a challenge so far. A better audio for sure. Not so much that direction. Okay, wow. And the tiniest, the smallest of all targets, the highest of frequencies. We have this set on Deus Mono. Let's see what it does. I'd have to be really desperate to dig that, but wow. Now, just out of curiosity, what I want to do here, I'm going to increase my sensitivity here. We could spend all day on these settings, right? I'm going to put this up to 95. I'll leave the reactivity alone. So the only thing we changed is sensitivity. And folks, this is so tiny. So tiny. It's just literally a flake of gold. A flake of gold. And again, I have a sensitivity. Doing a much better job on that. Sensitivity's turned up higher. Well, what do you think? So again, remember the purpose of today was some testing. I talked about 4 scenarios where I think this coil makes more sense perhaps than the 9-inch, the 11-inch FMF coil. What we did test though was just simply how well this HF2 coil compared to the FMF maybe unmasks. How well does it separate, and how well does it identify those small targets? And we did indeed see some differences. So what I want to stress though is caution, be careful. Don't think of this coil as something that's, going to be good for every situation every day. And also there are a lot of other settings here we haven't even talked about that I could be tweaking to further optimize this coil. The silencer, for example, is a big one. Bottle cap rejection is even another one, let alone sensitivity and reactivity. But we're going to continue to swing this coil and see how it performs and give the feedback to you all, back to XP. And also today, I don't know if you noticed it, I have another detector out here, my MindLab Manicore. I'm going to sign off on this video because I know this is long, but I'm going to go ahead and see how the Manicore performs on these same targets. And if that's something interesting to you, stick around. I might show that on the next video. Thanks for watching. Happy digging.